Just having it, huh?
Yeah.
Rolling. Wait. Live. So it's recording now, yeah?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Happy that's recording this,
Yeah.
Get to the mic, guys. What do you mean? You are 3, 2, 1, action.
Yeah. So what was the question again? Sorry.
So, I saw a book that you was reading.
Yes.
C.S Lewis.
Yeah.
So I just took a little read. Not too long. I didn't read all of it, but just got a brief overview. So it's basically about Christian religion. So I just want to ask you. I'm a Christian myself. I was born into Christianity. I don't go to church though. I used to, obviously, because mum made me go to church and stuff like that. But since I got 2 cents, just
What made you stop though? Sorry, push that over to me, please. What made you stop going to church though?
to be fair, to be honest, like growing up, like mum used to take me to like church on a Sunday, even Sunday school, but it didn't feel like church. It just felt like a little get together.
Yeah.
To be fair, like I was just running around the church, or hiding in the corner, being hiding.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Classic OG experience, bro.
So it didn't feel like church. But obviously, I was born into Christianity. There was a Bible in my house. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I even tried to read it once. Don't get me wrong, I could read. I'm very literate.
Yeah.
But a lot of the language that they use, I didn't understand it because it's old school English.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I gave up.
That real King James beast.
I know. All till this day, I've never read the full Bible in full.
Yeah. I don't even think those types of things are not, and it's not to say that that's where you're coming from. It's anything to be ashamed of. Like it's not an easy read, and it's like a mirror in some ways. Like most people would read their religious text that way, but it's a mirror that you use to hold up against yourself, because you're obviously using the text to answer some questions that some other methods of thought can't answer, like science, for example, which would find it more difficult to answer some questions of meaning that would be answered in like a religious text, innit? But I used to go to church, and I stopped going to church because a lot of stuff there is bullshit, innit? Like, a lot of stuff in there just doesn't make sense, and it's like borderline demonic. Like if we're gonna keep it like a stat, that stuff that's happening at SPAC Nation, bruv, big facts, is demonic, fam, and it's not biblical. And there's no way that the guy can say it is. Yeah, bruv, you can have a good Gucci belt, bruv, but you can enjoy that in hell, fam.
Have you heard of their excuses why they Pastor Toby's all in Fendi and Gucci and all that?
Because they want this prosperity nonsense, bruv. You're not talking to poor people, fam. You're talking to people who don't have material wealth, and these people are getting you thinking that material wealth is prosperity, innit?
But do not.
He needs to be taken to the city gates, bruv, Old Testament style, bruv.
To be fair, in that position, you need to know, like, come on, you're representing God out here. Do you know what I'm saying? So you got a certain position to uphold.
Yeah, but that's what you say, innit? If nobody knows, the wiser, but for no fault of their own, similar like in ancient Catholic times, the clergy and the priest are the only one reading the text to keep you in the shade, innit? And this guy, he's using the text in such a way that he can keep people manipulated, innit? And anybody can do that, innit?
But let me keep it real.
That's for him and God.
Let me keep it real. But how old was you when you read the Bible in full?
I've never read the Bible in full.
Okay.
But what does that have to do with anything? That doesn't make...
Well, that's what, from what I understand, if you're Christian and you're a true devoted Christian, you should have read the Bible in full, at least.
But why though?
Ain't that where like you get your knowledge from to be a Christian and stuff like that?
Well, not according to the Bible itself.
So what is the Bible itself?
Because
all I know is there's an Old Testament and a New Testament, and from what I understand, it's just stories from Mandem on the ends that knew Jesus.
Well, the New Testament 4 Gospels are somewhat that, and I guess the whole book, if you depend on how you take it, it's just super complex, bro. Yeah. And that's why I understand, like, why people are put off by it. But the Bible itself, if I was to say from my understanding, is a collection of 66 books.
Is it 66?
It's 66
With-
separate
with-
books
With different stories.
that are based over the space of about maybe 2 to 4,000 years or something like that.
So which book do you choose to like live your life by? It's very confusing.
Not really, if all of the books have this a similar message and a congruent narrative, because like a lot of like.
But do you know, with that though, it's the same thing that we was talking about earlier. It's all about context.
Mhm.
You could let's say there's a stadium with, let's just say there's a hall with 20 people in there.
Mhm.
You're telling a story to 20 people
Yeah.
in that hall.
Mhm.
They're all hearing the same story that you're telling.
Yeah.
When you walk out of that hall, or the audience,
Mhm.
and you ask questions like, "Oh, what did you take from that? What did you take from?" Everyone's got a different story
Of course, and
because everyone's taking different things from that show. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, of course. But I mean, and Christ asked Paul, I think it was, "Who do you say I am?" So it's like everybody, he knows it. I think everybody's aware that you're gonna have different views on it, but there are some things that you have in common, and they're pretty basic, and that's what I think Christianity is. Do you believe
So, what was the need for the New
Christ
Testament?
died for your sins? That is what Christianity is, and following Christ,
So, what
not
was,
reading the text.
what was the need for the New Testament then?
The New Testament is the new covenant. It's the telling, I guess, and the collection of books that talk about the new covenant and the old covenant, encapsulated in the Old Testament being sacrifice at the temple, but the temple didn't exist.
But you know, yeah, you know, Mandem on the ends don't know about temples and all that stuff.
No, of course, but that's
So
got
when you're
nothing-
saying that to me, I'm like, well, you talk. I don't know about these temples.
cool, and that's fine. Like, but the information is there for you to find out, and this is why we're having this discussion of this, isn't it? Because just because you've been misled by someone about something, that doesn't mean that the knowledge of the truth about it disappears. And of course, a lot of people bastardize Christianity the same way somebody who was a Muslim would say people in Islam bastardize Islam, innit? That's why you hold the text up to and see if the text warrants it, because a person can be corrupt and do whatever they want with the text, but does the text warrant it or not?
Yeah.
If Christ said, if my dons were about this beef, they will be here with their things getting it cracking, but if he said if it was about that, they would be here, but it's not about that right now. When that guy in the garden cut off the brother's ear because he was coming for Christ, the guy picked up his ear and gave it back to man. Like, do you know what I mean? If I don't know if
so, like I said, I don't go to church. I got faith. I'm not a Muslim. I was born into Christianity, but I don't go to church. And someone said I'm going to hell because I don't go to church, but I still pray.
Yeah, but many
But
people are
anyway.
going to say that because it's a scare tactic, innit, to some degree, innit? But hell, you can experience hell somewhat here by doing things that are counterintuitive or counterproductive to your goal, innit? Things that destroy your soul, telling lies, killing people, committing adultery, stuff that I guess in the 10 Commandments would eventually make your life more complicated, and as a community wouldn't be fruitful to the progression of that community. It's not more like, I think a lot of things are made more mystical than they need to be. It's like, well, if we followed these 10 rules, how well would our community do? Would it do better or worse? If it would do better, maybe it would make sense to do them, and maybe it doesn't take all this spirituality and sifting through X, Y, Z to get to that point, innit?
But that's the thing though as well. What I'm just looking from my own experiences and what I see
of
from
course.
life. Everyone context seems to be different.
But where did you grow up though?
South London.
Yeah, but where?
What, like ends?
Yeah.
Brixton.
There's
Well,
Brixton
do you
and
know, I was born in
Did you go to a Caribbean church or an African church?
Caribbean church.
That's what I'm saying. It's like completely, they're quite different places. New T
But
is not the same as
That's
UCKG.
that. You know, that's my issue.
Mm.
If we're supposed to be under the whole one umbrella, why is it different from my man down the road? It
Because-
don't make no sense. It's just confusing everybody. If we're all under the same whole Christianity umbrella, why are you not talking different from we are?
Mm.
We're all reading the same book.
Yeah.
It don't matter what country we come from, African, Jamaican, Bayesian, whatever you want.
Of course, if you're all reading the same book and coming to completely different conclusions, one of you is wrong.
So who's wrong? Everyone's
The text
fighting.
will show, innit? Depends what question we're asking. Depends who we're looking at.
But that's where I was going to before. You just told me there's like 60 books or 60,000 books.
The Bible, I was telling you what the Bible is. It's a book which is a collection of 66 books. It's like, let's say for example, no disrespect to the Bible, if Harry Potter had 66 different books, one was written by Hagrid's ancient cousin from 4,000 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that, except it's mixed in with historical truth and facts, which have been verified by, like, let's say for example, Gary Habermas, I think is his name. He did a lot of historical looking into the 4 Gospels and the historicity of Christ as a character himself, innit? So there's people doing the groundwork, innit? So we can't pretend like that doesn't exist, and the information's out there for us to find out.
It is, but nobody wants to do their own research,
and nobody wants to do anything about making their own life better, which is a fact. But that's the only thing. And again, I'm not necessarily saying that doing the research in this specific subject is going to make your life better, innit? But it's going to fulfill that gap of knowledge that you have, and then you won't have the excuse of not knowing, because as long as you can read, even if it takes you ages, fucking read, innit? Just take the time if that's what you want to know, and if your heart is sincere about getting to know it. And that's like with anything, if your heart is sincere and you really have a deep desire and a question to ask. Now I'm not the most sort of hyper spiritual type, maybe because I grew up in that environment and I've seen a lot of the damage that those things can do to people's mental states and also their view on the world. But just because I've had a bad experience with Christianity and church, that doesn't mean it's untrue.
I know, but a lot of the information's out there is a bit distorted, so it's like, what do you believe? But it depends on
but
it depends on the person, isn't it? What you fundamentally like, what's within you.
No, it is that, and it's also, but it's like, let's say for example, understanding more about what Christianity is and the journey and the sort of past, present, future of it can only be, I guess, understood by reading the Bible. So there is merit in reading the Bible, but that doesn't mean that like everything's going to be straightforward. You're going to be able to do it like overnight, and it's not going to take time. But
do you know, I know I have this conversation a lot with a lot of people. From what I don't know. For me, it's like, it's just plain and simple. Life is not that hard. Everybody knows good from bad. Everybody knows what fulfills them to make them happy. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard. Everyone knows good from bad. So all these religions, Buddhist, Muslim, all this, you know what I'm saying? Fundamentally, they all got the same principles.
I think superficially a lot of them do have the same principles, but then fundamentally they are very different. And like one thing that battles with me is like, are they just cultural expressions of the same story told from a different perspective? And that's what I think. But a lot of them don't end up being that case because they're happening contemporaneously. They're happening at the same time as other things. So it's for some, let's say for example, like the ancient story of like Noah and the Great Flood. There's a Chinese version of that story and like 260 other versions. But does that mean that it happened everywhere, or that it happened in one place, or is that just a good example of a story being cross-cultural? But then some things are not cross-cultural. What happened in Egypt evidently did not happen everywhere else. It happened in Egypt.
I honestly believe it's history.
Yeah, no, of course, but it's mixed, innit?
I think everyone's got the same encounter at that time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
It's the cultural factor.
Other things can't, because everybody could have experienced the flood and told that story differently.
Do you know?
Everybody can experience local Egyptian slavery. I was
watching a documentary one time. Obviously, I wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? So I ain't got the facts. But I was watching a documentary and it made me think. A lot of these religions have basically the same story, but a little bit different. Muhammad, Muslim. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be Jesus, Christian, if that rings a bell. Well, the Prophet Muhammad, like in the Christian term, he's Jesus.
No, but that I don't think that's what they believe. I think what they believe is that Jesus came as a prophet and Muhammad is the final prophet that came after him, giving the giving the final testament of God, which is the Quran, and the Injil being the incomplete version, which is the Torah, and the New Testament and the Pentateuch. I think that's what the Injil is.
I think everyone's born at the same time. Everyone's got different witness. I honestly think it's a cultural thing that warps the stories. I think everyone's got the same story. Everyone was there at the time. Because if you actually, well, you're a research man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't read books like how you are, but from what I understand, a lot of these religions, if you just do your research, I guess, in the same time that they're all telling these stories, they all sound too familiar. It sounds very, very familiar.
I think that one way that I agree with that is in astronomical stories.
Okay.
Like, in terms of the Egyptian, I don't know how people in history got their stories, isn't it? It's obviously hard to tell, but a lot of them seem to get their stories from like astronomical sources, isn't it? So the stars tell the stories. I think the way you tell the story of a constellation is by understanding the stars, knowing the story of each star, and then the route you take is by the star's order of brightness.
But
I think that's the case. But then again, that's why I think some people have the same story, because we all have the same stars that are telling some random story. But where I would stop that viewpoint is where the story or the supposed tale steps into the realm of actually having happened. It's fine. It's all well and good for Egypt to have the prophecy of a story that sounds like Christ, but if Christ doesn't turn up, then that story is kind of irrelevant. If the person who you said is that character doesn't manifest, then it's just a perspective, isn't it? Whereas this is the fulfillment of prophecy, supposedly. The Bible is. We
both know everyone in life, they just want to feel comfortable. So they're gonna cling to any story that makes them feel comfortable.
But being a Christian doesn't make me feel comfortable. It doesn't even allow me to do some things that I feel like I want to do impulsively. Do you know what I mean?
But you know that everyone's different, Josh. You'll tell the same person down the road that you've known for years where you're coming from, and they just wouldn't get it because they're just on the next path in life, I guess. Yeah,
it's interesting that you use the word comfort, because there's actually a quote that I actually put on the introduction video for the Cancel Club podcast, and it was about comfort, and it's about, I'd have to read it, I'll put it up after, it's on my computer, but it's basically, and it's actually by C.S. Lewis, interestingly enough, which started this conversation. I don't know if it's in here.
Hey, C.S. Lewis, you better.
C.S. Lewis is the guy. He's the greatest writer ever.
Give Josh some money, you know. He wants to promote your thing, fam.
Bro, my guy's dead, fam.
Oh, is it? He's got some royalties somewhere. I'm not.
Trust me. No, man. I wouldn't even want to take from this guy, bro. But I think it's in. It's somewhere in here anyway. And I'll put it up after. You'll see it in the description of the older video.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're looking for comfort, you're not going to find anything that gives you comfort in it. Truth, if you look for truth, you may find comfort in the end. But if you look for comfort, you're not going to find truth. And you're not going to find anything that's necessarily beneficial. Because it's empty and hollow. Because it's not accompanied by truth.
Do you know, it's so mad what that is.
It's like lying to yourself. And you can tell me all day that it's comforting to you, but deep down you're not really it's not the truth.
Do you know what's so mad about what you just said? The truth can hurt everyone.
It usually does, but then it gets you to
well, let me bring it down to like a fucking deep level right now. If you knew, if you got text on your phone right now from HM.gov UK saying there's a comet gonna hit the Earth tomorrow at 7:00 a.m. That's the truth. Are you just gonna accept it and like be like, yeah, this is fine, I'm just gonna accept it, I'm not gonna die tomorrow?
No, but then it goes back to how you look at the Bible, or how serious people who were looking at it would. There's methods that you take. There's like, I think it's called hermeneutics. There's theories of interpretations that you can apply to the world, and like one of those theories of interpretation could be a scientific method by which you prove said comet coming from the skies. Yeah, I don't. Maybe that would be the case. We'd have to wait to get there and see, innit? But you can't, like, they don't just say stuff, because there are ways of finding out if people have said nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, people have scares like that all the time. Again, if they said it, maybe if I had reason to believe them, I'd panic.
I don't know, my philosophy is you can die tomorrow, so whatever makes you happy, and the people that make you happy, make them happy.
But maybe what makes you happy isn't fruitful for your, and this goes into the subject that I'm going to talk about later. Maybe what you think is making you happy isn't fruitful and isn't good for you. Like, some things that you think make you happy, they're not good for you at all, innit? And that's just a shame. Sorry.
I drink, I smoke.
Yeah,
that's not good for me, cuz.
Yeah,
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, but those are like I smoke weed. Like, you do those things to fucking, like, you do those things for reasons, I assume, innit? Like, there's some people, especially in this culture, innit? Like, in other cultures, that's just part of what you do, but in this culture, it's not so much that it's usually accompanying something, some form of relief or release, innit? So, yeah, it might be to cover up something or to help to cope with something, and it may not be right, but you can just change that, innit? That's the hard truth. It's just a fact, though, isn't it?
So, going back to what you're saying, Josh, I was reading a book by, what's his name? C.S Lewis?
Yeah.
He's all about this Christianity, finding peace and all that.
Well, it's about finding, his style of writing is just sort of asking and dealing with questions, I guess, more so.
So, in regards to liberty and all that, is there any conflict there? In regards to religion and liberty?
Well, one would precede the other to some degree, because depending on the society that you're in, you need to have the liberty to express yourself in a religious manner. So one would be more foundational, I guess.
It's a bit conflicty, isn't it?
No, not at all.
No?
One precedes the other.
Well, to be honest,
if you don't have the freedom within society to express your religion, it doesn't matter what you are, innit? You're not free to express it. You're not free to be part of your religious expression. So I don't think it's conflicting at all, and I think it's interesting because it kind of it's a loop. You get your idea of liberty maybe from your religious idea or worldview, and then you build your society based on your religious worldview, which ensures that every citizen has the liberty based. It's like a circle, I think.
So if you want to talk to the young G's on the ends and that, like, yo fam, I want to teach you about liberty. Mandem on the ends, they're stubborn, fam.
That's not my problem. I can only give you the information.
It depends on what they want to do with it, innit?
Yeah, and it depends what you want in life. Some people, they just don't want. It's that, again, like, there's a million people out there that are saying some shit that we're not listening to right now, and half of the reason is because we don't know it's there, and the other half of the reason is that we're not interested. For the most part. So some people are just not interested in what you have to say, innit? It's just about putting it out there. And
so what do you do with them people? Do you just leave them to it and just are you giving them the information? It's up to you what you do.
Bro, some people have to suffer and die, my G.
It's the truth. That's an unfortunate truth.
It is the unfortunate truth, but it's like you try, innit? You be an example, but it's not like all talking. It's like, it's all well and good me being on this podcast talking, but being an example is slightly different than that. It's actually being well put together when I'm telling you that you need to be well put together, giving you an example to follow, and exercising my liberties in such a way that is fruitful to my community.
So Mandem on the ends, if you come to them and like, yeah, liberty, they don't know what liberty means.
That's why we're here to discuss it. And
what does liberty mean? Fundamentally, if I go in the dictionary or Google liberty, what's coming up?
Well, if you're going from what I remember, liberty is the ability to do what it is that you want without being encumbered unnecessarily by the government or social contracts or laws.
To
Being
be
able
fair, Mandem on the end don't know what encompass means. What's encompass? I don't know what it means, guys. You need to break it down to me. What's liberty? I don't understand. Statue of Liberty in New York.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's not. It's being able to do things that don't affect. Being able to live without being stopped by the government from doing shit. As long as that shit doesn't stop somebody else from being able to live their life. Don't infringe on somebody else's liberty.
So what, you talking about like travellers and that? No, Irishman them there?
No, I'm talking
travellers. Because
no.
you know they do what they want to do. Like you can't come to me because they do their own thing. That's travellers. That's all I know. But they like proper like enforcing liberty.
Yeah, but they have that mindset, and you can also have that mindset.
They ain't got a passport or birth certificate or nothing like that.
They don't, but that doesn't mean they can't go to prison. And that doesn't mean...
Of course they can. Because you're still on the land, isn't it?
Because
asylum seekers go to prison and they ain't got no papers.
That's my point. That's a major difference between liberty, which doesn't infringe on somebody else's liberty, which is not what we're talking about. We're now talking about somebody who's infringing on somebody else's liberty.
What's infringe mean? I don't know what infringe means. Like, I'm being Mandem on the ends right now. I don't even know what infringe means.
Then go Google it. That's what you got to do. Sorry. It's not that hard. I can't pretend that it's that hard. Like, it's not.
Do your own research, people.
Like 100%. Like, it's not.
It's the information's out there, but you man are too lazy.
Like, I'm not gonna give you that. I'm not gonna give you this.
Yeah, man.
Idea that you're not smart enough to Google a word. Like, some people aren't in it, but you're on your phones all day. People are intelligent.
Exactly, but they want to look at fucking people in bikinis and all them stupidness.
And again, like, I'm not hating on people who want to do that, bro. But at the same time, it's like if we're gonna be out here crying for certain things,
and you don't want to do nothing about it.
You don't want to do nothing about it, but you want to go and watch those things. In 10 years, when you're in the same position,
why are you complaining to man for?
Don't complain, innit? And that's the difference between. Well, I don't know, because I'm still doing the research on it and I'm still trying to build my foundational knowledge. I'm trying to think that's the difference between some people go on as if they're free and unencumbered and can just do whatever it is that they want in it because the world is theirs, and some people understand that the system that we have comes with certain liberties that have limits based on the fact that you can infringe on somebody else's, from my basic understanding. I think one person I wanted to include in this from a point of reference, actually it's actually two people. One is Eric D. July, who I've been watching on YouTube. He's a libertarian, and Marge Torre, who actually runs I actually met him in California last year. He runs a program called Black Guns Matter, and it's basically about teaching inner city youth and adults about the Second Amendment and personal responsibility, accountability, and looking after the community. From what my basic understanding is, I'm gonna try and get him in on the show at a later point to actually talk with us and just to share his view. But those people who have a more well-rounded understanding than my basic one, and if I can get an opportunity to talk to them, that would be great. If anybody could put me in touch, that would be also good. But I'll tag their videos and some of the interesting ones that you might be able to get a better understanding of what liberal or of what liberty is, being that their foundational political viewpoint is libertarianism. There's books you could read, John Stuart Mill on liberty, and a few other people. I don't really remember. It hasn't stuck, but sorry, yeah.
So Josh, what do you think about this whole Black Lives Matter thing?
Did
you see what happened in Angel Town yesterday?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, fucking hell, mate.
I was there still.
It looked like a madness.
Yeah, no, it was pretty interesting still.
Like 1 million people, but I know 1 million people don't live in Angel Town. So
they weren't from the end. That's the thing. That was the interesting part about it. Like, I'm not from town. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I couldn't have gone town coming from where I come from, even though it's like a mile and a half away. But it was an interesting one still. I think the news decided to spin it in a way that was a bit unjust. I don't remember. I don't know why, and I haven't done any research because I don't really care about the Black Lives Matter organisation as a thing. But
why?
It's just not really man's vibe, innit? Like, it's,
What do you mean?
there's a million reasons why, but we won't get
Give me
into-
one reason. Give me two reasons.
I don't believe in their form of protest, and I
What do
don't
you mean
believe in
form?
their methods, innit?
Listen, if I'm watching you on your YouTube and I'm saying and I'm hearing, you don't really get.
Yeah, it's an
Well, you need
organisation
to
and a group of
explain
people. I don't need to agree. I don't need to agree with them. And again, of course, I don't disagree with the statement that Black Lives Matter. Of course, they do, in it. Like that's all you're getting from me. You're not getting my money and all of these extra. Like,
Well, with that,
go look it up yourself, innit? Go look up the organisation yourself.
Yes,
Like,
I know the whole official Black Lives Matter website.
yeah, like
Don't donate.
Like again, do what you are.
Because it's not going to. You think it's going to.
For me personally, those things don't necessarily align with my personal beliefs and the method with which we need to take in solving our community's problems.
What's your personal belief, Josh?
Personal accountability all day.
What do you mean by that?
Taking
Man, on the ends don't know. Wow.
They do. That's the thing. They do, because it's like when they lose the pack, they know they're personally accountable, and it scares the shit out of them.
Yeah, because everyone on the ends, like if that guy murdered someone, your boy, and you're with them, you're getting wrapped up as well, because you're what's it called, association.
Yeah, and now you're gonna become accountable to that issue, innit? In some way, that issue may turn around and hold you to account one day. But I mean, in the sense of, if you're bad at saving with money, no one's going to save for you, so you need to take that responsibility yourself. It's just taking about personal responsibility mainly. And it's hard because like the proponents of like Black Lives Matter and other, let's say, more liberal progressive people would say, innit, like it's not your fault, there's other factors and other reasons, and white supremacy and fucking the white man's getting you down and a lot of these other things. And it's like, yeah, there's a million things in life trying to get at you, but they don't matter though.
Do you see this rascal thing?
No.
When what's his name? Little idiot. What's his name?
There's a million of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Tried to draw him out. He wasn't having none of it, mate.
No.
Like, bruv, am I the spokesman of Black Lives Matter? What are you asking me the question for?
Yeah, facts.
Kind of like man's because I'm black. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like not everybody's got to agree with it, innit? It's politics, bro. Like it's not. Like I don't. Their methods, some of the stuff that they say, it's just too easy to not want to be associated with them. As me, like I grew up in Tulsa. Like I'm not saying that the police are perfect, but I don't associate with pigs in a blanket fry like bacon. I don't. It's just not man's thing. I don't think it solves the problem. I think an interesting thing that this guy on YouTube's been chatting about, this Eric D. July guy, young Ripper, he's so funny, man. Is it's like it's not a problem with individual police, or it's the problem with the state, innit? It's a bigger issue. Like man needs to get rid of that stumbling block, or we're always gonna have these types of issues, which is true. It's like man can scream and cry at the police all day, but you're either gonna just replace the police with like woke police that suit the specific political agenda of the time, or nothing, or you're just gonna have police in it. There isn't, like, police is police, it's a label, and it's a group of people.
Would you prefer police or no police?
Of course I'd prefer police.
Why?
Because I'm not trying to be out on my strip, like, looking after the ends, bruv. Like, that's long. Like, it's not, like, again, I don't have an affinity for, like, my basic geographic location like that. So, I mean, I'm not going to be out here just making sure that the community's safe. And that, like, yeah, bro, my family, that's good. You don't do what you, if you don't want to kill each other, do your thing, fam. I just want to make sure my family's safe, and my brethren make sure that their family's safe. Okay. But it's nice to know that there's a police service there. Again, I'm not going to be like letting anarchy reign.
Don't get me wrong, I feel like that as well, to be fair.
But it's like the police are just made up of
can you imagine,
people, innit?
You know how it goes on the ends. There's no police, man's running up in everyone's house, like,
of course, fam.
No consequences.
Of course, and that's people don't want to pretend like these things happen.
We kind of need that little enforcement.
I think it's suspicious that people want to take away police from areas that need police. It's suspicious, bruv. Who are you trying to let have control? The people that are bad, innit? This is why, if I lived in America, mate, it's 2A all day, fam. I would have 12 straps at all times. I have 16 leg holsters.
A whole room full of straps.
Facts.
I'll have a secret room when you go in there, bruv, like Men in Black.
My driveway would be a range, bro.
The whole fucking thing comes across. Bare things, grenades, everything.
I'm telling you,
if I was in America, it would be a wrap, to be fair.
Yeah, man. I think in terms of like political systems, man,
I have a grenade launcher in there as well.
America's got it right still. If it was possible, why not?
Because over there right now, it's a man over there right now, to be fair, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like me, I take the more relaxed approach these days. I don't think it's as mad as people say, and like as far as I know, this is just people in the media trying to control you and manipulate you and keep you frustrated, like, and not allow you to solve your problems because you can't get over the emotional trauma you're getting through. That's why I don't watch videos of police officers getting.
Because it triggers you, innit?
Yeah, like I'm not trying to get triggered over stuff. Like it doesn't make any difference. So what, you just want me to get mad? Is that your aim? Yeah, because it's very easy to do that.
Everyone's so listen.
But what am I gonna do with my anger? Innit? That's the thing.
Do you know so mad? Yeah, we all know this whole social media thing. It's been all over the news. Facebook, all algorithms to make sure like people see what they want to see, all that shit. It's just like, are they just purposely manipulating you to see what you want to see to fucking...
But then it's like, I think a lot of it is subconscious to some degree.
Oh, most definitely.
Because I don't think people are insincere. I think they just, a lot of people hold like political beliefs that end up being destructive in it, but they have good intentions.
Yeah,
but also, I think there is a pernicious group of people somewhere, or there are people that are out there to be sensational. And it's a bit moist, like... And I get it, like I used to love watching that shit online because it's hilarious. Sensational stuff can be quite funny and it can be quite striking. But if it's not fruitful, after a while it's just salacious entertainment.
No, I hear that still.
We don't really need to be out here for the gossip, bro. Man could be building houses, fam, like men, fam, rather than just be out here just... Do you know what I mean? Nah, it makes more sense us trying to do more fruitful things than just fucking... getting on social media and doing stuff for the gas, bro. Like, yeah, we've done that and it's been a good fun few years, but we have a real opportunity to make something more of not only people's perception of our community, but what our actual community is like, innit?
How old are you, Josh?
29.
29?
Yeah.
What do you want out of life? What is your goal? Why are you doing this?
Because it's just an itch to scratch, fam, and I want a Range Rover.
I think everybody wants a Range Rover. That convertible thing.
Enough that I'm going to do what it takes to get one under our beautiful capitalist system. All hell capitalism. And now what I want, I don't know. A few things, man. I just want to be more equipped personally because I wasn't as well equipped as
if I was to say 3 things in life, only 3.
Yeah. I
should round that down to 2. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you 3.
Yeah.
If you had to pick 3 things to make you fucking comfortable in life, what would that be?
Life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, bro.
That's a madness, no.
Trust me, just give me those.
Why is that so hard to obtain nowadays? Not even
people
nowadays.
Don't go
even
for
history,
it,
it's always
people
been
don't
like
try.
that.
They let the obstacles stop them, as if the obstacles decide. The obstacles do not get to decide. You decide. The obstacles may be hard and they may change your route, but they don't get to decide your whole. It's done. You can decide that that's where it ends, but it's up to you, isn't it?
It is, ultimately. But what about it's the same argument. I have a lot of arguments with people. One of my cousins' baby fathers, you might as well say, he's a proper, he might as well say born again Christian. Now I said to him, this is what most of Christians say to me. Don't get me wrong, I'm Christian, I was born to it, don't get me wrong, all that. This is another reason why I'm so upset with the Christian thing. He said to me, if you do not believe in Jesus and the whole Christian thing, you're going to hell. Now I gave him the argument of, what about people that live on a remote island that's never had access to the knowledge Christian thing? Apparently they're still going to hell. Come on, man, talk to me. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think like again, it's people just have too simplistic a view of things, isn't it? But it's like, is this same wilderness, that you're talking about, or that you're in this hypothetical that you're talking about, the same as the wilderness that John the Baptist came out of, or like all of these? Like, a wilderness is maybe just a place you don't know, innit? Is it just that?
I know it's all mad still. It's very confusing.
Because like I think where all of these people were coming from the wilderness, God found a way to get to them, innit? And obviously Jesus Christ came at a very specific time in history, innit? The people before them had encounters with God as people did it across the world. It's like the 3 wise men were coming from Persia.
Okay.
They're coming from a different ends completely. The Magi, like they're following a star. Like, you know what I mean? They're coming from complete wilderness to some people, but somehow the same message has come. Like, so I think that person is just a dogmatic, insane person to some degree, but at the same time I don't think the person being out in the wilderness stops God, the creator of all things, from reaching out to that person.
Definitely. I think it just depends on what's in your heart, to be fair, as a human being.
And that's biblical though. You know what I mean?
What's in your heart, you all know good from bad.
Yeah, we all do, but our heart is also wicked, innit? And we do need to do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a complex one, bro. Like, again, I don't really think it's wise to walk around telling people they're going to hell.
I got that a couple times.
No, bro, like, listen, fam. If you
and from what I understand from the whole Christian thing, all I remember from Christianity, thou shalt not judge. You get me? So how you man telling me I'm going to hell, fam? The hypocritical things that go on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If you was ever to get on a bus from Bricky to Stretton back in the day, bruv, and you went past Rurak, fam, you was getting told you was going to hell.
This was recorded, cuz.
Yeah, like, of course you was going to get told you was going to hell, fam. I used to piss me. I used to tell people I was a Satanist, bro. Just because it would be like, I don't ask me stupid questions, fam. Because you're not even asking it me with a clean heart. You're doing this Pastor Toby script.
Do you get me?
Nah, and that's not you're young, innit? Or we were young. I was young at the same time.
Yeah, man.
But it's silly, man.
It's a very hard, complex one still.
Yeah, man. They happen over time, innit? But like, just because it's hard and complex, that's not an excuse for lack of knowledge, innit? Like, it's your diligence on how much you want to know. That's it. Like, no one's gonna do anything for you. No one.
Definitely.
People can try and go along the road for you, and they can give you as much help as they can, but personal change is what needs to really happen.
Everyone's got to walk in their own path. Yeah,
like, we need to be better examples for the young G's. Like, I always think that I don't have no elders, you get me? And I don't really necessarily have any role models that I can look up to and be like, fuck it, I rate you if I'm trying to be like you.
Yeah.
But to some degree, those are the people that we're going to have to become, because they exist out there.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people idolize the wrong people.
Definitely.
Not because they're not idolizing the right things about them, but maybe they're not understanding that not everybody can be a rapper. And the fact that this rapper may be doing good things with his or her money, that's all well and good, but not everybody can be that. And it's about understanding that our community needs different role players. And it doesn't always need to be
a couple of them
sought after through that one route of entertainment, for example. Like, we need to build our community through other ways.
Would you think
Akon always have the same role models, which are entertainers?
Would you think Akon? He's an entertainer, and he's building Akon City. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's interesting. I'd like to see how it works out. I mean, he's a guy doing a thing. That's what we need. Like, it's special, but it's not special. We need more of him, innit? We need to make it we need to make Akon irrelevant.
Do you know 6ix9ine?
Yeah.
He done a collab with 6ix9ine recently.
Yeah, I heard, and it was terrible.
What do you think about that?
So cringe.
I knew it was
so cringe.
It was a bit of it. Still, it was a bit.
I mean, this guy, that seems like a money move to me, and it seems like
that's what I'm saying.
An exploitative.
That's what I
cringe
thought as well.
Step. That's what we should call that brand of music when you work with a snitch. Cringe step.
Is he doing it because he knows he can make a hell of a lot of money and feed these people, and fuck what everyone else thinks? Or
you could steal a lot of money and feed your people. Does that make it justified?
That's very true. I like that one there.
Not to say that stealing is the same as working with a snitch.
No, hey,
but if working with the snitch is the reason behind your idea that it's a good idea, it's probably a bit.
Still.
Like, again, like, it's a tough one, because even this whole Takeshi 6ix9ine thing, there is no street code. People are fake. They're liars, bro. There's never been a street code. The street code is make sure that nobody snitches and try to get away with as much shit as possible. If nobody tells, we'll probably get away with shit. Like, outside of that, there's no street code, bro. Like there's no knights on the ends. Like there's no sort of Batman characters, or there's no good. Not to say that there's no good people on the ends, bro. But when we're talking about Mandem, bro, the criminal element of it, that are about the criminal life, not like the people that love that element of it. Yeah, it's not like. Yeah.
I know it's all mad, isn't it?
Yeah, fuck the ends, bro. We need to have better role models in it. We need to just try to take different routes that I guess take more time and they take more sacrifice from us in it. And it takes just looking at things a different way, but it's going to be more fruitful than the things that we've been trying that haven't been working. Definitely. And the handouts that we've been taking that haven't been doing anything but digging us into deeper depths of debt. Do you know what I mean? Greater depths of debt. Yeah.
Like what we were saying earlier, innit, Josh? We have to teach kids about tax and money.
Yeah, fam. Trust me.
Because they want us to fail, man. It's basics.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, like, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say they want us to fail because like they don't teach their own kids this shit. If we're gonna go by in terms of like skates, the people that's got the knowledge though, that know about money and tax, I guess they're gonna pass it down to their kids. Yeah, but that's the parents passing it down to their kids.
Yeah, but that's what we were saying earlier, man. The system
is
designed to make.
I mean, I guess I think we probably disagree on the design nature, although I don't think that the education system is designed for people to become smarter.
Definitely not.
But at the same time, I think everybody's getting the brunt end of the education system being poor. And there's a greater responsibility that parents need to take, but because a lot of parents are also uneducated, it doesn't always help. But this is why it's such a big issue, and it's a generational problem that we're going to have to take some years fighting to solve. But if 100 years ago, people who are just freed slaves are doing better than we're doing now in terms of single parent, like 2-parent households, general basic family income, stuff like that, then we don't really have the same excuses.
I hear that, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's mad one, isn't it?
It's really tough, man. But yeah, that was an interesting conversation. Thanks for asking those questions, man. Like, it helped.
Thank you, Josh. I needed to hear a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure we can get into it more another time. But yeah, that was a Council Club short. So we'll catch you next time.